An investigation is shedding light into how some 100 ballots went missing in the city of Madison. We got the details straight ahead. Plus, a tough meeting at the White House Friday between President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky. We got the possible fallout as the Russia-Ukraine war continues on. And the Pope continues his fight for health, suffering another setback on Friday. That's all ahead here on Weekend Mornings. And we thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning, March the 1st. I'm Kyle Pazorski. Singer Justin Bieber turns 31 today. And let's take a look at the first warm forecast. Jacob Madison has that. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Kyle. We are seeing temperatures noticeably colder out there. Right now, temperatures are in the teens for much of Wisconsin. A few areas still hanging on to the lower 20s, but 17 degrees in Madison. Taking a look at the temperature change from 24 hours ago, some areas are near 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday, and pretty much everybody at least 20 degrees colder. And temperatures are going to be about this much colder compared to yesterday throughout the day. Now, as we take a look at the current winds, we are still dealing with some breezy conditions. Sustained winds are around 10 to 20 miles per hour right now, and that actually is creating wind chills pretty close to zero, if not below zero, for a lot of the areas. So we went from temperatures in the 50s yesterday to wind chills near zero today. Now, the good news is that the winds will slowly calm down throughout the day. Still a little bit breezy through the afternoon hours, but by the time we get to the evening, it'll be very calm, and the calm winds will continue for Sunday. We also will see plenty of sunshine today, but the high temperatures will struggle to reach 30. It will be a colder one for sure, and that's a very similar forecast for you folks in La Crosse. But temperatures will get warmer after today. However, we do have an alert day in the forecast for next week. I'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Jacob, thank you. To our top stories, the Wisconsin Election Commission has now released an investigation looking into some missing ballots within the city of Madison. The Madison Clerk's Office revealed in December that 193 absentee ballots went unaccounted in the November election. The report is now offering a clearer understanding of what happened, but still raising some questions. The commission's chair on Friday emphasized some organizational mistakes that were certainly made and a need to look further into the matter.
It seems to me in reading this report that that sort of level of responsibility we just didn't see from the city of Madison. I think we need to investigate perhaps a little more into that.
Some 65 uncounted ballots were found on the day that the Dane County certifies the election results. The commission, however, wasn't notified until after the state certification. The Wisconsin State Journal is continuing to struggle getting people their news, and this is following a cyber attack that shut down some key publishing systems in early February. The issue spread to its parent company, Lee Enterprises, which operates over 400 daily and weekly papers across 26 states. Locally, while their website, Madison.com, is still active, print editions have faced delays in multiple cities. The State Journal says progress is being made, but there is no timeline for recovering or fixing this issue. As tensions exploded, a much-awaited Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky quickly went off the rails Friday. The clash erupted as the vice president, as well as President Trump, accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for American support. The stunning turn of events is now raising questions about efforts to end the more than three-year-old war between Russia and Ukraine. CBS News correspondent Erica Brown has the latest from the White House.
With the world watching, President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance publicly berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
During the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
The conversation turned contentious as Zelensky questioned Vice President Vance about Russia honoring any deal.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
The meeting unraveled in what appeared to be a real-time rupture between allies.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
After the intense Oval Office meeting, the leaders left unsigned a rare earth minerals deal between the U.S. and Ukraine. Previously, President Trump said the agreement would bring Kyiv closer to ending the war, which Russia began just over 3 years ago. The president spoke to reporters as he was leaving the White House for the weekend.
You saw what I saw today. That was not a man that wanted to make peace. And I'm only interested if he wants to end the bloodshed.
A planned press conference with the two leaders was canceled after the meeting, and Zelensky and Ukrainian officials were told to leave the White House. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
And in his remarks outside of the White House, Trump called for an immediate ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. And it was a winning day on Wall Street Friday with all three major indices making positive moves, but they still closed out the month of February in the red. As for an example, the tech-heavy NASDAQ was down 4.5% in February, which was its worst month since April of last year. This is giving signals of increasing unease in the markets. And here were Friday's numbers. The Dow climbing more than 601 points, the NASDAQ up 303, and the S&P adds about 93. Pope Francis suffered another medical setback Friday when he was placed on a breathing machine after a sudden episode of breathing difficulty. The Vatican says he is alert, although not out of danger. The 88-year-old pontiff has been battling pneumonia in the hospital for 2 weeks, and due to his continued illness, he will not be leading the upcoming Ash Wednesday service. The Vatican says he has only missed one other Ash Wednesday in his 12-year papacy. Patients with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance could soon lose coverage for treatment from UW Health. The Madison-based health system's current agreement with the insurance company expires on April 15th. The two sides have been meeting to renegotiate that agreement, but have not come to a deal just about yet. Right now, Anthem Insurance is still in network with UW Health and its affiliates, but if the two don't come to a deal by the April deadline, it could impact people with commercial insurance, as well as Medicaid and Medicare Advantage products across a wide range of hospitals in southern Wisconsin. In a statement about this negotiation, UW Health said in part, quote, Anthem's current offer is neither fair to their members nor our care teams. The statement, the healthcare provider accused Anthem of offering an increased reimbursement rate that is well below the rate of inflation. It also says Anthem is demanding the ability to unilaterally change payment terms without a renegotiation, and that the insurance company overuses prior authorization requirements. A statement from Anthem reads, we want UW Health to remain in our networks and will continue to work with them to reach an agreement. However, we cannot agree to excessive price increases that would only make healthcare less affordable for our members. Political ads for the Supreme Court election are ramping up on broadcast TV, streaming, and everywhere else. And experts are saying they're getting more negative over time. And while adults may dismiss them, for children who don't know any better, the ads are seen as getting scarier. Arman Rahman has more.
We may be far from the presidential election, but political ads for judicial races are starting to dominate the airwaves again. But how do we keep them from advising the discretion of some unintended viewers?
Our own kids watch these ads and are asking, like, is it really the case that a candidate has let somebody loose who's right outside my door ready to attack me? And so I think, that's not the typical reaction that people have to negative ads.
Because while we may not think much of claims like this,
but the new neighbor is a pedophile.
Younger minds have a harder time hitting mute.
It's harder for a younger child to put into context, right?
Marie-Louise Morris is an expert in how children interact with media.
You'll get a knock on your bedroom door at 1 a.m. Like, I can't sleep, or I'm worried, I had a bad dream. Or sort of seeming anxious, kind of wanting to check the door is locked or whatever.
She says checking in and not belittling your child's fears is key.
Just kind of helping them put it into context in terms of saying, we're safe, it's fine, this is there to kind of make people vote or pay money in particular ways, but it's not something that you need to worry about.
But journalism professor Mike Wagner says the ad wars are taking another turn with judicial races like the state Supreme Court race.
If you read the fine print, the conclusion the ad is trying to get you to draw is not accurate.
He says a recent ad supporting Brad Schimmel for justice identified someone as his opponent, Susan Crawford, who wasn't.
Those kinds of things can have ancillary consequences to where the people who are, misidentified as being a candidate might actually end up facing harassment.
Experts say the more negative ads get, they should push us to research for more information.
But negative ads at their worst disgust us and paralyze us, and often might lead us to conclude there's no sense participating at all.
The ideal trajectory is that we have less of that and more of a reasoned debate about kind of what are the policies and practices.
Reporting in Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
And Armand, thank you. Still ahead here on Weekend Mornings. Got some ways to spend your weekend in the 608. Plus, Jacob is back with a full check of the first warn forecast as we take a live look outside at the UW campus in Madison. You're watching Weekend Mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. We are going to see calm and cool conditions over the weekend, but then we have that alert day next week, and the rain will begin developing later in the day, Tuesday. And then by the time we get to Wednesday, we're going to see a rain-snow mix and also some windy conditions. So the alert day kind of going to begin Tuesday evening, and really our entire area will be in this alert day. And it will mostly be for heavy rain and wind with some snowfall, especially for areas further north and further west. So let's take a look at the rainfall forecast. Dry throughout the weekend, small chance of some showers once we get to Monday morning, but this will likely not amount to much. As we head into Tuesday, some light rain is expected during the morning, but the bulk of the precipitation, that consistent and sometimes heavy rain, will start to move in during the evening. Could see some isolated thunderstorms early in the night Tuesday, as pretty much all of southern Wisconsin will see that rainfall. But later in the night, as the temperatures cool down, some of that rain will transition into snow, especially for areas north and west. Look at you folks in Eau Claire, likely going to see a lot more snow than us here in Madison. And throughout the day on Wednesday, as the winds shift out of the northwest, we're going to continue to see that rain transition into snowfall. And at this point in time, it looks like everyone has the chance of snowfall, but the further north and the further west you are, the more snow you will see. And this system will clear out by Wednesday night into Thursday. Now, although just how much snow we will see is still a bit unclear, it is fairly clear that we are going to see plenty of rainfall. And here's a look at the rainfall forecast across Wisconsin. Pretty much everyone going to see about an inch of rain, if not more. And this is definitely much needed rain because a lot of southern Wisconsin and a lot of Wisconsin as a whole is currently under a drought. Now, as we take a look at the wind gust forecast, the winds will calm down later today, and throughout the weekend we'll have relatively calm winds. They'll pick up a little bit Monday, but only going to see gusts around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour. They're going to pick up again for Tuesday. But as that system comes through, we are going to get a little bit of a break in the winds during the early overnight hours Tuesday. But when the winds shift out of the northwest Wednesday, that's when they'll really pick up with gusts up around 40 miles per hour, maybe even approaching 45 to 50 miles per hour for some locations. And that's expected to last through much of Wednesday, especially later in the day, with the winds calming down by Thursday morning. So definitely going to have very active weather for that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. But as you notice, before and after that, we are actually going to be rather calm. This weekend will be on the cooler side, especially today. But really after today, high temperatures for the most part are going to be pretty comfortable. Upper 30s to lower 40s for tomorrow, and then mostly in the 40s and 50s for the rest of next week. And after that system clears out by Thursday, conditions are going to be a lot calmer to end next week.
And that's some good news. We had a good week. It seems, we're getting to nicer temperatures now, but then, those 2 days will be a little hiccup in the road, but then back to normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are getting to the most, close to the rainiest time of the year. It's more towards May and June, but still typically see a lot more of that rainfall in March compared to January and February.
All right, Jacob, well, thank you. On to some more news. The Sun Prairie High School Jazz Ensemble will be heading to New York City this summer to compete in the Essentially Ellington High School Jazz Band Competition Festival. The competition honors the top 30 high school jazz bands from across the world. Leading up to the event, professional musicians will visit each of the schools for in-classroom workshops, and during these, the acclaimed musicians will help set the students up for success to address their individual needs from a perspective similar to that of the judges who will be overseeing them. The competition takes place from May 7th to the 11th, with the final concert being held at the Metropolitan Opera House. Build Remodel Landscape Expo will be taking place at the Monona Terrace, taking place throughout this weekend, and visitors are invited to explore the latest design trends and product offerings there. It is the ideal opportunity to meet and interact with the area's top experts and discover thousands of new ideas. And it is free for all today from 10 to 6 and continues tomorrow from 10 to 5. Next this morning, a study on the effectiveness of the common vaccines that are out there, plus how climate change could make people age faster. Michael George has the week's top health stories.
New data shows adults who got the latest COVID vaccine are 1/3 less likely to visit an ER or urgent care. It's estimated the COVID vaccine prevented 42,000 hospitalizations during the 2023 to 2024 respiratory season. The data also shows kids who got the flu shot are 63 to 78% less likely to be hospitalized. Another potential impact of climate change, it could speed up our aging. A study by the University of Southern California found greater exposure to extreme heat accelerates biological aging in older adults. People living in areas where the temperature is 90 degrees or higher half the year had 14 months of additional biological aging compared to people in cooler areas. Social media influencers on Instagram and TikTok give overwhelmingly misleading health information. A study by the University of Sydney looked at influencers' posts about 5 controversial medical screenings and found most influencers never once mentioned they were paid to promote the tests, and they often never mention the potential harms of the tests. Misleading social media information is now considered a public health crisis. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News.
And it is 8:18 here on your Saturday morning. Still ahead, got some news out of Hollywood with a judge telling Blake Lively's lawyers to rein it on in. Plus, it's Oscars weekend. Will Loper shares where to watch this year's nominees ahead of tomorrow's big awards show. We're back in a bit.
Well, February has now come to an end, and here's a look at the temperatures across the month. The last week was above normal, but the middle 2 weeks definitely above that normal level. And for the month as a whole, we were about a degree below normal for the city of Madison. Now, obviously, there's only been 2 months so far this year, and overall temperatures very close to what we normally see so far, just slightly above normal for January and slightly below normal for February. But taking a look back to 2024, not only was every single month above normal, but take a look at February, 10.5 degrees above normal, just about. And even going back to 2023, a lot of months were above that normal level for Madison. The last time we had a below normal temperature month was March. So February broke a 22-month streak in Madison of those above normal temperatures. Now, if the trend this year continues, we probably will see a few months below compared to above. But at least for now, we finally are seeing some more normal temperatures, and we really haven't over the last 1.5 to 2 years.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Got some news out of Hollywood this morning. A judge has told Blake Lively's lawyers that they need to rein it in after they sent subpoenas to phone carriers and internet providers looking for more than 2 years of data. They wanted phone, text, and email records from Justin Baldoni and his team. And even though the data only shows records and not the content of the messages, the judge said it's overly intrusive, saying it could reveal sensitive information like any doctors, psychologists, or acquaintances that the party spoke to. The winners of this year's Best of the Worst Movies in Cinema, known as the Razzies, were announced on Friday. Madam Web led this year's Golden Raspberry Awards with 3 wins, and it was followed by Joker, Folie à Deux, Megalopolis, and Unfrosted, which each won 2 awards. Pamela Anderson won the Razzie Redeemer Award with her performance in The Last Showgirl. Meanwhile, the 97th Academy Awards are on this Sunday, and if you're looking to stream some of the nominees, got some good news. Our Will Loper has the details on where to watch the best in cinema.
To listen is to accept.
On Netflix, stream the genre-bending musical drama Emilia Perez that's been besieged by scandal, but also has the most nominations this year with 13, including Best Picture. See the Sandworms in all their HD glory with Dune Part 2, streaming on Max. The first-person POV drama Nickel Boys, about a horrific reform school in the 1960s, is up for Best Picture and can be streamed on MGM+.
What are you gonna do?
He's now 11.
8 Oscar nominee Conclave, about the choosing of a new pope, is up for Best Pick and Best Actor for Ralph Fiennes and can be found on Peacock.
It seems the responsibility for the conclave falls upon you.
See 5 Oscar nominee, including Best Pick and Best Actress for Demi Moore, The Substance, on streaming service Mubi.
One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself.
Watch the supporting actor frontrunner A Real Pain on Hulu.
Does it look real?
Well, they're twice the size of you in metal, so...
You sure you don't want to come up here?
I'm good.
And watch the animation nominees Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul on Netflix. Inside Out 2 on Disney+. Flow on Max. And The Wild Robot on Peacock. And if you're a completionist, Honora, The Brutalist, and A Complete Unknown can all be rented or bought on digital platforms.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
For Weekend Mornings, I'm Will Loper.
And still ahead, here we got a look at today's top headlines. You're watching Weekend Mornings. It's 8:30 right now. How political advertisements could be harmful to kids. We've got the details straight ahead. Plus, a delayed release for one of the women involved in the infamous Slender Man stabbing case. This is Weekend Mornings, and thanks for joining us here on this Saturday morning. I'm Kyle Pazorski. It is March 1st. Welcome to the new month, and let's start with a look at today's first warn forecast, and Jacob Montesano has that. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Kyle. Taking a look outside, this is a live view from Platteville, showing mostly clear skies. There are still a few clouds hanging around, but any clouds that are still out there will clear out pretty quickly. We'll see almost complete sunshine for much of the day. But we are going to be cold, and the temperatures are noticeably colder out there. 17 degrees in Madison, a lot of the area in the teens. And looking at that temperature change, up near 25 to 30 degrees colder for much of Wisconsin. And at this hour, we also are still dealing with some winds. Wind speeds around 10 to 20 miles per hour, but the winds will also get better throughout the day. So as we take a look at the forecast for this afternoon, again, plenty of sunshine, but highs will struggle to even reach 30. Much of the area will stay in the 20s, and the winds will get better throughout the day as well. With cold temperatures later tonight, once again, we'll have lows in the teens, possibly even single digits for parts of the area. But then Sunday temperatures will slowly improve. Highs will be in the middle to upper 30s, maybe even lower 40s, and we'll continue to see sunshine, and we'll also see calm winds for tomorrow. So a very quiet weekend, other than the temperatures being on the colder side. But next week, we do have alert days in the forecast, Tuesday to Wednesday. I'll talk more in detail about that coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We'll check back in just a bit. Topping our news this half hour, a sure sign that an election is just around the corner is the abundance of advertisements, and experts say they're becoming more negative and even frightening, especially to younger viewers. And while adults may dismiss these ads, children can struggle to separate fact from fear. And for children, these messages can lead to anxiety, with many questioning their own safety.
Our own kids watch these ads and are asking, like, is it really the case that a candidate has let somebody loose who's right outside my door ready to attack me?
Now, experts, they suggest talking to kids about these ads and to encourage critical thinking instead of fear. Things got a bit testy at the White House Friday as President Trump clashed with Ukraine's President Zelensky. The U.S. president and vice president accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for American support, and the meeting was captured on cameras in the Oval Office and unraveled in what appeared to be a real-time rupture between allies.
But you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this.
After the tense meeting, the leaders left a rare earth minerals deal between the U.S. and Ukraine unsigned. Previously, President Trump had said the agreement would bring Kyiv closer to ending the war, which Russia began just over 3 years ago. Staying in Washington, the Social Security Administration is planning to cut about 7,000 jobs. The reduction is part of a larger reorganization in line with the Trump administration's efforts to downsize the federal government. The agency says the overhaul focuses on functions and employees who don't provide mission-critical services. Officials expect most employees to take advantage of the voluntary separation incentives. Back here locally, the Wisconsin Election Commission has now released an investigation looking into some missing ballots. The City of Madison Clerk's Office revealed in December that 193 absentee ballots went unaccounted for in the November election. The report is now offering a clearer understanding of what happened, but still raising some questions. The commission's chair on Friday emphasized some organizational mistakes that were made, and they need to look further into the matter.
It seems to me in reading this report that that sort of level of responsibility we just didn't see from the City of Madison. I think we need to investigate perhaps a little more into that.
Some 65 uncounted ballots were found on the day that Dane County certifies the election results. And the commission, however, wasn't notified until after the state certification. Madison's clerk says an employee from her office notified the Dane County Clerk's office about the issue, but the county office says they had no knowledge of the missing ballots until it was reported by the media in mid-December. A Janesville woman is pleading guilty to 4 counts of homicide by vehicle while under the influence of THC. 24-year-old Lexis Bodeker was driving a group home van this past April when she ran a stop sign in Lima Township. This caused a deadly chain reaction crash, which killed 4 people and 4 others were injured. Prosecutors say Bodeker was not authorized to drive the vehicle and had THC in her system at the time. She now faces up to 25 years per count and will be sentenced on May 27th. Looking around the state, a Waukesha County judge ruled Friday afternoon to delay the release of one of the women in the infamous Slender Man attack. A hearing was scheduled for Monday to discuss a plan for Morgan Geyser to re-enter society. However, this has now been pushed back to Thursday. The court says there were some concerns raised about the books that she was reading while in custody, with themes focused on sexual sadism and murder. The attack in which Geyser and Anissa Wire stabbed Peyton Lutner happened in May of 2014. Both were sentenced to 40 years in mental institutions, and Wire was granted release in 2021. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge cooled as expected last month, but the good news came with a potential red flag for the U.S. economy. Typically, after the holidays, consumer spending suffers from a hangover in the new year, but newly released Commerce Department data shows that consumers pulled back far more in January than economists expected. Spending fell 0.2% from December, and adjusting for inflation, spending sank 0.5%. And those are the biggest monthly drops since February of 2021. The cost of food, especially eggs, along with energy, all pushed prices up for consumers and producers last month.
As long as you can stabilize your costs and forecast what they're going to be, then you can kind of adjust everything else around it. But when all of a sudden, like the last few years, when it's just like, when you get these massive surges in costs, it's tough.
Certain signals also indicated the economy is softening, GDP growth is slowing, and business investment is sluggish, and consumers are growing pessimistic on fears that inflation will pick up. Citigroup made a costly error before reversing course. The bank accidentally credited a customer's account with $81 trillion instead of $280. But it quickly reversed the transaction. CBS News is reporting that this happened last April when 2 employees initially overlooked the massive transfer, and another employee caught it 90 minutes after the payment was processed. Citi does say a payment that size could not have actually been executed and would have been stopped before the funds left at the bank. Would have been interesting to try to check that, though. Our time now is 8:37, still ahead. Jacob has a quick check of your Saturday forecast. Plus, here's a look at today's day in history.
Let's take a moment and check out the snowfall so far this winter. With March beginning, we are still at a big deficit. The normal for the winter up until this point, going all the way back to October, is around 42 inches, and we are around 20. Now, looking at the amount of snow we've had compared to some other winters that were very, not snowy, we are actually right now at this point the 7th least snowiest winter. Now, there is some clarification that is necessary. All of these winters up here that are below us, this is including March and April, and obviously up until now it's only March 1st. But it's also important to point out that measurements back this far ago weren't as accurate as the measurements that are today. So it is possible that some of those winters were a little bit higher. Regardless, this really just goes to show how little snow we have seen so far this winter. Now, maybe March is a big snowy month, but right now we're certainly at that deficit.
1901, 1902, 4 inches, that's it?
Yeah, like I said, measurements weren't as accurate then, so it's possible that number is a little low. But still, I mean, yeah, doesn't look like we got a lot of snow that year.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Jacob. And some good news this morning for music lovers in Madison. The Atwood Music Hall is now unveiling its schedule for the inaugural season. The live music venue in Madison is set to open June 13th with a tribute to Clyde Stubefeld benefit for WORT. The next day, Chris Farley's brother Kevin will stop by to discuss his graphic novel Celebrating Chris. And the full lineup can be found on the Atwood Music Hall website and social media pages. The tickets will be going on sale for the first 4 shows today. Worldwide, some roughly 300 million people are living with a rare disease, but there is some good news. Health experts are applauding new efforts to better diagnose and treat these illnesses, something that was once thought to be impossible. More than 7,000 rare diseases have been identified, which can have a significant impact on a person's health and well-being.
It takes sometimes up to 15 years for individuals to get a diagnosis. So thinking about how long you live with just that uncertainty as to what is wrong, whether it's in your family member or in yourself, it's just a real burden.
Dr. Curry says artificial intelligence is now allowing for large amounts of data to help identify patterns in patients. We are coming up now on 8:45 on your Saturday morning. Still ahead, Andrew will check in with Friday's news and sports. Plus, Jacob is back with a full check of the first warn forecast. This is Weekend Mornings.
Good morning, everyone. Here's a final look at the 3 things you need to know. We're going to see quiet conditions over the weekend. It will be cooler, though, but we will see plenty of sunshine. And then we're expecting alert day conditions to begin right around Tuesday evening as the rain will develop. And then for Wednesday, we'll have windy conditions and a rain-snow mix. So looking at all the alert day information, this is for all of southern Wisconsin, although really all of Wisconsin as a whole will be dealing with this system. And again, Tuesday evening through Wednesday, that looks to be the time frame. So let's take a look at the forecast. Some light rain is possible Monday morning, but that will likely not amount to much, just a few light showers. As we get into Tuesday, we'll see some light rain move into the region, but the consistent rain that will begin the alert day will move in during the evening because this rain does look to be a lot heavier. We also could see a few isolated thunderstorms, especially early in the night for Tuesday. Now, as we get into the later night hours for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, as the temperatures cool down, some of that rain may transition into snow, especially for the areas further north and further west. So you folks tuning in from Eau Claire, you guys will likely see a lot more snow than what we will see in Madison. But throughout the day Wednesday, as the winds shift out of the northwest, the temperatures will continue to cool down. So areas in southern Wisconsin will likely see snow at some point, or at least there is the chance of some snow, although accumulation doesn't look too great for Madison and surrounding areas. Now, as we get into Thursday, the snow will clear out of the region. Now, although how much snow we see is still very unclear right now, it is looking very likely that we will see plenty of rainfall, possibly possibly up to, if not over an inch for pretty much all of Wisconsin. Now, this forecast could also change a little bit, but we're definitely going to see some much needed rainfall for Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, looking at the wind gust forecast, it'll be calm by later today and for tomorrow. Winds will pick up a little bit for Monday with gusts up around 25 to 30 miles per hour. We'll also see breezy conditions early Tuesday. But as that system tracks through our area, we're going to get a little bit of a break from the wind early Tuesday night when the rain does appear to be the heaviest. But as we get into Wednesday and the wind shift, that's when the winds will really get gusty. We'll see gusts up around 40 miles per hour throughout much of the day Wednesday before they calm down Thursday morning. So overall, a pretty messy 2 days for Tuesday and Wednesday. But the good news is that before and after that system, conditions do look to be pretty quiet. And after the cold temperatures today, we are going to see overall very mild weather going forward. High temperatures on average are going to get to the lower 40s by the end of the 10-day forecast, but we may still be above that with 50s right now for next Sunday and Monday. So outside Tuesday and Wednesday, not too bad. Again, a little cold today, but it will get warmer by tomorrow. And then for next week, even the cooler days will have highs in the upper 30s.
After a nearly perfect regular season, Wisconsin women's hockey started their second season last night, the postseason. It begins with the conference tournament hosting Bemidji State in a best-of-3. A team, the Badgers, outscored 23-1 in 4 meetings this season, and last night they wanted to keep pouring it on, but it took a while to break that seal. First period, Caroline Harvey's shot's no good, but Kelly Gorbatenko is there to take out the trash. She had 11 goals in the regular season. Her 12th of the year puts the Badgers up 1-0. And then in the second period, still trying to get another one through. Not much scoring, but you see it right there. Claire Enright gets one past the netminder, and the Badgers take the first game by a final score of 3-0. This weekend is one that kids just grow up dreaming about. The chance to come into the Kohl Center as an athlete and leave as a state champion. Last night it was the semifinals. One win and you're off to, well, today, Championship Saturday. We will start in Division II. Dodgeville's Shane Rochon. He won it all in 106 last year. This year he's up a weight class, but nothing has changed. He wins by fall in 48 seconds. Rochon, one of 2 Dodgers on to the finals. Evansville, they sent 3 wrestlers, one of them being Colin Fry. The Blue Devil sophomore gets back points en route to a 21-8 major decision to move on to Championship Saturday today. And then in Division III, Pecatonica Argyle's Aiden Grudenfeld. He's looking for his second state championship. A 21-5 tech fall would give him a shot. How about Mineral Point? Their guy, Rowan Carey, he's carrying some weight, trying to get to the top of the podium. And the future Badger is on to today for the championships, thanks to a 9-1 major. He's one of 2 pointers advancing. And then how about those girls in the girls division? Fort Atkinson's Haley Fletcher, she'll wrestle for a title today. She won 16-0 in a tech fall. And of course, how could we not talk about Milton's Maddie Peach? She continued to dominate her weight class. The defending champ pinned her way to a title match today. To the ice we finish the sectional final for girls hockey. Beaver Dam taking on Cap City. The winner heads to state, and the Cougars got off to a fast start. Lily Wagner dekes and then lights the lamp to put Cap City on the board. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but then the Golden Beavers answered in the second period. On the power play, Emerson Damon finds Brenna Rhodes, and she finds the back of the net. The Golden Beavers would come all the way back to tie it, but the Cougars are the ones headed to state. They'd win it 4-3 the final. That's your morning sports fix. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Andrew. And still ahead here on Weekend Mornings, a town in Italy gets together with your food. Well, in Italy, that is not the case. A carnival tradition took place this week where teams of 2 or 3 would take turns throwing a cheese wheel as far as they can down a road. The aim there is to propel the cheese from where it landed last, and the team whose final player throws it the furthest is declared the winner. Their prize is the wheel of cheese itself. Pretty cool, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, although like I said earlier, I would hope that their prize is a different wheel of cheese instead of one that's been running on the ground.
It's this wheel of cheese.
It's on the ground?
Well, and what I understand about cheese wheels is that there's kind of like the outside, I believe it's called the rind. And so you kind of clear that, and then you have the cheese that you can still eat. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
I don't know how like serious this competition is, but I can just imagine like someone like stopping it in the middle of like it rolling, and there's just like anarchy breaks out because it's like illegitimate or something.
It feels like the type of event that you think of over a drink at a bar.
Yeah, I mean honestly, watching that cheese, it honestly is interesting. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, taking a final look at the forecast, it'll be cool today, but warmer going forward, and then we have those alert days Tuesday into Wednesday. First for the rain, and then it'll transition to snow.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Thank you all for watching. Have a great Saturday.